he lied to us for a long time. He said categorically, I will not pardon my son. He said, I will take it off the table. And he couched it in very high-minded terminology. I respect the Justice Department. I respect the jury's verdict. Well, now he's gone back on that.
This pardon, remember, is before the sentence, before he served his term. And Americans need to understand that a lot of people get pardons after they've, served their time, paid their debt to society. That's very different from here. The guy doesn't even get sentenced. Nothing really happens. We've got these nominations that are being made by the president. And we're talking about Hunter Biden, Joe Biden lying again, as you said, on his way out, which I think is just classic and perfect. But, the good news is we have the Senate, and these candidates that the president is announcing are phenomenal.
As expected, media pundits across the political spectrum are absolutely losing it now that Joe Biden has officially given a presidential pardon to his son Hunter. But if you've been paying attention to American politics at all through the years, this is just, business as usual. Ilhan Omar admitted as much after getting his frustrations with the decision off his chest.
I think this, like I said, will go down on the list of ignominious presidential pardons, but I don't think law students 50 or 100 years from now are going to look back at this as a horrific miscarriage of justice that undermines the foundation of our justice system. There is a reasonable argument that in some respects Hunter Biden was treated unfairly.
Regardless of how you feel about Hunter Biden getting off from his conviction scot-free and the facts of his case, what all of this outrage really shows is that powerful people with influence play by a different set of rules than we do, and there's nothing we can do about it, aside from changing and reforming the system itself.
So for anyone that wants to clutch their pearls now because he decided that he was going to pardon his son, I would say take a look in the mirror because we also know that when it comes to this cabinet has more people accused of sexual assault than any incoming cabinet probably ever in the history of America. So we are living in unprecedented times, and we know that this was completely political. As someone who serves on the Oversight Committee, this was gamesmanship the entire time.
Pretty ironic and hypocritical that so many Republicans have seemed to find the rule of law to Joe Biden's pardoning of Hunter and are happily ignorant of the rule of law when it comes to Donald Trump and everything that he has done.
Representative Jasmine Crockett and Dan Goldman are pushing back against the narrative that Joe Biden lied the entire time about the pardon. You see, they're emphasizing the rule of law and protecting legal institutions. But here's the thing. If right-wingers actually cared about fair and unbiased justice, they'd be advocating for eliminating presidential pardons altogether, like many on the left do. But removing that feature from our system would mean Donald Trump could not use it as a political weapon for his appointments or allies. And we know they're not ready to let go of that power.
The president spending his final days in office wiping away the convictions of close allies and associates. And then you have Charles Kushner. Now, this is the father of the president's son-in-law, Jared. He spent some time behind bars for witness tampering, for tax evasion. He received a full pardon as well. Democrats are blasting this move. They say the president is valuing loyalty over rule of law. Even Republicans like Lindsey Graham had previously said that a pardon for Manafort would just be a bridge too far. But this morning, we are only hearing from one Republican so far with criticism. That is Ben Sasse. He is saying that this is rotten to the core, Dan.
Charles Kushner pled guilty to basically 3 counts: tax fraud, illegal campaign contributions. But the most sort of scandalous and notorious thing was that he set his own brother-in-law up in a very sordid sting involving a prostitute. Charles Kushner's company sent a check to Harvard University for $2.5 million. Jared Kushner ended up going to Harvard. He was at his high school in the 3rd track in his class. There were 5 tracks. He was in the 3rd. No, it was unheard of for anyone in the 3rd track to go to any Ivy League school. The Kushners are used to buying their way through life. They think that money buys everything.
If a guy hires a prostitute to seduce his brother-in-law and videotapes it and then sends the videotape to his sister to attempt to intimidate her from testifying before a grand jury, do I really need any more justification than that? I mean, it's one of the most loathsome, disgusting crimes that I prosecuted when I was U.S. attorney. And I was U.S. attorney in New Jersey, Margaret, so we had some loathsome and disgusting crime going on there. But I just laid out the facts, and any objective person who looks at the facts knows, confronted with those facts, I had a moral and an ethical obligation to bring that prosecution.
Jared Kushner's father, Charles, was just tapped by Donald Trump to serve as the ambassador to France, a position he's completely unqualified for. Just another example of Trump using powerful government roles as favors for his loyalists, turning them into lucrative opportunities for their families and, of course, the Trumps. And speaking of in-laws securing powerful roles,
President-elect Trump has picked Massad Boulos to serve as senior advisor to the president on Arab and Middle Eastern affairs. Massad Boulos is the father-in-law of Tiffany Trump, President-elect Trump's daughter. He says in his post, quote, "I am proud to announce that Massad Boulos will serve as senior advisor to the president on Arab and Middle Eastern affairs."
He runs the family automotive business. He made a lot of his money in West Africa. He doesn't have any government experience per se, but he does have relationships in the Middle East. And he was a key ally during the campaign, going to Michigan in particular to talk to Arab American communities there and urge them to get behind Donald Trump.
Donald Trump sees the entirety of the federal government as a vehicle to advance his own interests, as an extension of his own personal will. He also believes that there is not going to be the resistance he faced, intermittent as it was in his first term, among elements of the Republican coalition.
All the while, everyone back home in the United States whines and complains about the rule of law being a complete farce, a sentiment that's only bolstered by what's happening overseas. Yet no one seems to be raising much concern about it.
I want to be very clear, though, Dana, that there have been continuous violations since this ceasefire took effect early Wednesday morning. CNN spoke to a UN peacekeeping source who says that Israel has violated that ceasefire about 100 times.
The Hunter Biden pardon is unsurprising if you've been following how presidential pardons have been abused for decades. Should Biden have done it? Probably not, if we're talking optics. But in the long run, does it really even matter? The outrage machine moves quickly, and this will be forgotten in the broader chaos of the political landscape. What's more concerning is Donald Trump's nomination of his daughter's fathers-in-law to government positions. This isn't about diplomacy. It's a business strategy designed to funnel more wealth and influence toward their families under the guise of serving the public.